what they show in the movies. And porn is like a million times worse because it's all male gaze, male focused. 96% of porn is degrading to women.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we friggin' see. And this is what we are taught. It is such a disservice to women. I want to tell you, there's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are perfect. There's no hormone problem. There's no libido problem. Literally, the problem is that no one is treating your feminine sexual operating system in the way that it needs to be treated so that you love sex.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life and marriage? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. This episode, you're not going to want to miss, okay? It is juicy. It is going to spice up your life in more ways than one. And I'm so thrilled to have Susan Bratton on as a guest because we're going to be talking about how to improve your sex life. And not just that, but like going from that feeling of, oh, I have to have sex with him to be a good wife to, ooh, I get to have sex with him and actually enjoy it. So Susan, thank you so much for being a part of this show. I cannot wait to see what we get into on this episode. Can you please share with us who you are, what you do, how old your kids are, where you live? Give us the good stuff.
Michelle, when you said, ooh, I get to have sex with him, I got goosebumps because that's the feeling that I want every woman to feel when she's in a marriage with a male-bodied partner. And too often, people are doing mercy sex. They're submitting to sex. They're putting it on their list as something they have to check off. They're not really getting what I consider to be the full benefits out of having a penis in your house. You got a penis in your house? You are lucky. But you don't always feel like that. And I hope to rectify that in this conversation we're having today. I really want to talk about why you want to fight for your sex life, why pretty much everything you've seen, heard, and been told is wrong about female sexuality, and why we've been having sex like men, and we think there's something wrong with us. And I want to rectify that and talk to you about how the female sexual operating system works so you can train your husband to be the hot lover that you would love to have and need to stay in a happy, healthy marriage that keeps getting better instead of worse, and being the model for your children of what a great marriage looks like and having a great family. And I want to talk to you about the things you can do to have hot sex for the rest of your life with your partner. So that, and it all comes from that I did not have that, and I figured it out. And I have spent the rest of my life telling other people all of these things because I am 63. I've been married for 33 years. I live in California, where you come from. And 33 years of marriage, and my husband is away at an AI summit, and I can't wait till he gets home because I want to have sex with him. And that's so fun, but it's not even like I'm horny or anything. It's more like I know he can get me turned on in the way that I need to be turned on. And I don't have to worry whether I'm horny or not, or what my libido is, because that's actually not what's important. We're not automatically always ready to go like our male body partners. But my husband is so well trained to know how to do the heavy lifting to get me what I ultimately want, which is deep, pleasurable, fun, adventurous, sexual connection with him that makes us both feel so good about each other and makes our marriage so great together that I don't even have any worry about it anymore. And it used to kill me. He and I were married. We had a little girl. We were married for about a dozen years. I was 42. Our daughter was 6. And he was driving away forever. We were going to get divorced. He had, quote unquote, cheated on me, which I want to circle back to because I don't even like that term. It's not even fair to him to call it that. And my little girl and I were standing at the door of our beautiful home in the Silicon Valley. We were about to break up a marriage that for all other reasons was excellent. I love this man, but our sex life was so bad. I did not want to have sex with him. I used every trick in the book to get out of it. He was so miserable. And when I found out that he was having sex with someone else, I was like, that's it. We need to just move on. All of our friends were dropping like flies in their marriages as well. And, it's either sex or money. And in our case, in our friends, we all had jobs. It wasn't money. It was sex. And my little girl's standing there and she sees her daddy waving goodbye. He stops as he pulls away. He stops and he waves goodbye to our daughter. And she looks at me and she looks at him. She had her little blankie and her auntie had made it and it had this little silk border on it. And she liked to rub that silk border on her face to soothe herself. And she was holding her blankie and holding my hand and rubbing it on her face. And she looked at me and she looked at him and she said, but what? It's giving me goosebumps to say this, but will you still be my daddy? And I was like, oh God, I cannot do this to her. I can't. It's family because I don't want to have sex with my husband. What is wrong with me? This is what I thought. Hey, fast forward. There wasn't a darn thing wrong with me other than we didn't know what we were doing. And I had never had an orgasm from intercourse. And I had faithfully had intercourse with my husband for a dozen years. I don't do it anymore. Like, I just felt like, honestly, Michelle, like a masturbatory sock. He tried. We just didn't know what we were doing. We were 30-something. We were 42 years old. He was 40. And so by that time, you'd think we'd have known something. We didn't know anything because there's no sex education. Everything is shame-based. The only thing you see is porn and the stupid movies. What was I watching last night? I was watching a movie. I don't know. I was literally scrolling threads while I was barely watching something. Oh, I know, it was Emily in Paris. And somebody had, and one of the couples that was on the show, they got attacked by this group of this swarm of bees in a lavender field. They were having a romantic moment and they had to take off all their clothes and then they had to run and they jumped into this pool in this French chateau. And then they just started making out. And you could tell in the movie, she pulled her swimsuit bottom, or it was her underwear. She pulled her underwear down and he stuffed his penis in her and they were making out and she went, oh, like this, like that was going to feel good. And I'm like, first of all, it's impossible to have sex in dirty old pool water. I would never do that in a million years and put that water in my vagina. Second of all, how could you even be lubricated? Third, how did he get erect that fast? Fourth, how was she possibly ready? I mean, the whole thing just pissed me off, what they show in the movies. And porn is like a million times worse because it's all male gaze, male focused. 96% of porn is degrading to women.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we friggin' see. And this is what we are taught. It is such a disservice to women. I don't know if there's anything in the universe right now that pisses me off more than how women are sexually traumatized by patriarchal religious repression. I mean, we are under such assault. So I am so thankful to have a chance to be on your show and to at least tell your audience, and thank God, this uncensored medium of the podcast universe that we're in today, because you sure can't do this on social media, what it is that is, I want to tell you, there's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are perfect. There's no hormone problem. There's no libido problem. Literally, the problem is that No one is treating your feminine sexual operating system in the way that it needs to be treated so that you love sex. And I went on for the last 2 decades now. We just celebrated our 18th year of my company. Our company, my husband and I had this renaissance in our relationship. What we did was we went to therapy, and that was helpful. But what really helped was we went to sex workshops. And we went to these sex workshops because we live in the Bay Area and we have a lot of that kind of stuff here. And it was like, oh my God, almost like an instant switch. Boop. You just tell someone what to do sexually, they do it. And it's like, oh, it works. I mean, and maybe it takes 3 times on some things to get it to work. Like anything you try the first time is going to be a little weird. And you might think to yourself, boy, I don't think I really like that. It was like a weird sensation. It wasn't what I was used to. But I'm going to trust Susan, and I'm going to try 2 more times with the thing that she told me, because that bitch is wise. I wouldn't have had her on my show if I didn't trust what she was going to tell me and tell my people. All right, I'll try it again, and I'll just see. Maybe she was right. And so there is that. I understand that when you try new things, it can be like destabilizing and weird at first. Keep trying. Mommy knows what she's talking about here. So the thing that is very important to understand is that when I teach sex techniques, which is what I do, so I'm not a therapist. I don't sit in an office with a person in a chair. I don't solve trauma, healing, problems like this. What I do is write passionate lovemaking techniques. I teach primarily married couples or people in a long-term monogamous relationship how to have sex that keeps getting better and better over time. And what I like to say is that my quote unquote style or brand of sex techniques is heart connected, passion, conscious lovemaking. I'm present, you're present, we're connected, it's slow, it's sensual, it's pleasurable, there's no rush, it's not pornographic, it's the kind of intimacy that spans the ages, that connects you with Gaia, that gives you ecstatic bliss together, that fuels your creative passion, that makes you fall more and more and more in love with your husband over the years. That's what I do. So one of the most important things is to understand that your sex life is a part of your overall personal growth. It's in the personal development category. It's also in the healthy living category. Because if you look at the end of the life of a person who fought for and had and learned about sex and kept trying new things and dabbled in things and gave them a try a couple of times and then realized, I see what she was talking about. Those people end up looking 10 years younger, living 10 years longer, having the best life ever because they kept at it and they realized I'm not doing friction to get off. I'm not doing procreation to make a baby. I'm learning how to have heart-connected, conscious, passionate lovemaking that fuels me, that puts a spring in my step. I'm an orgasm-powered mama. That's what I'm talking about today.
I love all of that. And as you were sharing your experience of, basically you being in a sexless marriage, that was me after I had my first biological son, because I'm also a stepmom. And then I have 2 of my own kids. And I literally had those thoughts. What's wrong with me?
Yep.
Why can't I enjoy this? Why don't I want it? Aren't I supposed to want my husband? Shouldn't I feel hot for him? Shouldn't I feel horny? Again, like you said, just like, shouldn't I have sex like a man where they just see you naked and they're like, oh, boner, right? But no, I wasn't experiencing that. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I want to want you, but I don't I feel like I'm asexual right now. I don't understand what's going on with my hormones. I don't know what to do. And honestly, it really took us figuring out, okay, well, you might not feel horny, but let's see if we can get you aroused. And I think that's what you're leading up to, is learning more about it, about yourself and how much that can change your sex life. And thankfully, it changed mine. I'm so much happier knowing that there really is nothing wrong with me. We just didn't know, because what do they teach you in school? Here's a banana. Here's how you apply a condom. Don't have irresponsible sex, and game over. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's not helpful.
No.
So let's talk about how so many women feel like becomes a chore after they become married and have kids, and end up feeling guilty because they're like, oh, I'm not meeting his needs. And in the back, they're thinking, are they going to cheat on me? What is this going to do to my marriage? But also, I don't have any desire to participate in that. So, and then end up thinking there's something wrong with me. What do you have to say about people who fall into that camp right now? I'm not going to say like that you're going to feel this way forever, because you're here listening to this episode, and hopefully
you're not going to feel
through
this way again.
learning from Susan, that you're going to realize, oh, I don't have to. While this is common, there is something that could be done about it, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You just haven't known what to do. And so, yeah, what do you have to share with these people?
Yeah, you said something interesting in that. And first of all, this is how the majority of women feel. Or there are some women who are more on the scale of like they want sex, but their husbands aren't doing a good job for them. There's also those women are very common as well. My husband can't get an erection. He won't give me a yoni massage. All he wants is intercourse, whatever, those kinds of things that happens too. But a lot of times women think there's something wrong with them. That's the default. And then he thinks there's something wrong with them. And then they just chalk it up to her problem, but they're still going to have sex because that's what you have to do. And that is the shittiest situation. So you said something in there about like, it's my job to have sex with him. Something along those lines, like, well, I've got to do it. I have to do it. Let me tell you why you want to do it for yourself. Because when you're focused on the guilt that you're not giving it to your partner, you can end up being angry about that. By the end of this conversation, you're going to know what to do to get to the point where you're looking forward to the next date you have with your partner. And by the way, we can't solve the problem of what's going on when you have a lot of kids in the house. That era of your marriage, you're going to be scrapping for sex. I want you to be at the point where you're scrapping to try to find the times to have sex because you want to. But I can't fix how annoying it is when kids are in the house for your sex life. You just eventually grow out of it. Our daughter is 27 and she was home for the summer. She's between her master's and her PhD, and she was home for the summer. And so she and her boyfriend we have a cottage at our beach house, and that's her permanent residence, but she's hardly ever there. So we were down at our beach house for the summer. And it definitely impacted our sex life. I mean, even with a 27-year-old, when the kids are home, it is harder. So I will give you that. So I want to tell you why you need to fight for your sex life. Because if I don't tell you that, you're still going to be listening to me like, okay, here's what I have to do to make my husband happy. You're going to make your husband happy by me telling you what you need him to understand and what you need to understand about yourself so you get turned on and you feel confident about your sexuality. That's the final thing we're going to talk about on this show. It's very important to us that we give you everything you need to move forward at the end of a 45-minute conversation and begin. You've got an action step to feeling like, okay, nothing wrong with me. Know what I need to do. I'm ready to start. And here's what I need to do first. One foot in front of the other. Here's where we go. So that's what we want to leave you with. But I can't do that if you're doing it just for someone else. I need you to do this for yourself, but I've got to tell you why. So here's why. Number one, I already talked to you about how sex helps you live a longer, healthier, happier life. And you look younger and you have better longevity. But that's out in the future. So who gives a crap about that? You're dealing with like dirty diapers right now or something, you're dealing with things that you have to deal with the here and now. But what I can tell you is that in the stress of the life that we lead in the world today, we generate a lot of cortisol, which is adrenaline, which is the hormone of flight and fight and flight. the sympathetic nervous system. And everybody who's telling you, oh, you should meditate, like you have time to meditate. God love you if you're finding time to meditate. So you can kill two birds with one stone by having sex. And this is where you get a mother. She's like, oh, I can do two things at once. It's definitely like mommy language, right? And that is that oxytocin, which you generate from skin to skin contact, literally is the antidote to cortisol. It is the opposite effect. It is the calming system. The second thing that is, if you can figure out how to have an orgasm before you go to bed, you'll sleep better. And the reason that you'll sleep better is that you'll recover. You'll actually have deeper sleep because you'll lower your nighttime cortisol, but you're also going to oxygenate your brain. When you have an orgasm, you get this rush of oxygen to your brain. When your husband touches your yoni, and I want to give you that word. So I don't like the medically terms like vagina and vulva as much. And I don't like the kind of like crass terms either. The word that I like to describe the female genital system in its body, its mind, and its spirit is the yoni, Y-O-N-I. That's a tantric lovemaking word. It's Sanskrit and it means portal. And it is the portal to your pleasure, to your connection, to your confidence, so many things. And one of the interesting things about it is that your husband, when he ejaculates inside you, he gives you 20 different things that are good for you, including some testosterone, which makes you more calm, more confident, more capable, and more horny, which is so interesting. So when you have an orgasm or a series of orgasms before bed and you've got all this blood flow to your brain, what that allows you to do when you get that good nighttime sleep is you get your detoxification and you get essentially the spring cleaning of your brain. So you have better cognitive function and you have more energy the next day. Orgasms also releases other hormones, prolactin, dopamine, serotonin. Serotonin is your feel-good neurotransmitter. And those are very important hormones for you for feeling happy and healthy all day long. The other thing that it does is it grounds you. You literally get grounded again. It's almost like earthing. Having sex with your partner is like earthing. Like going out and walking on your lawn and getting the Schumann resonance of the earth up into your body. It calms your nervous system and it reboots you. So if you have some anxiety, low-level depressions, things like that, often frequent good sex can really help. You maybe not even need to be on some of the pharmaceuticals that you might have been considering or be on. Very interesting. The other thing that's very important, and this is fascinating, you get a lot of endorphins, which are great for pain relief, but they're also kind of like an upper. They're a mood lifter. The other thing that you get is immune support. You get increase in IgA for insulin regulation. You get T cells and killer cells, NK, natural killer cells, which actually come in and the NK cells eat up broken and damaged cellular debris so that when that's cleared out of your body can make new fresh cells that work better and give you more energy. So having sex gives you more energy, which we all need more of. We could use unlimited supplies of ATP. The other thing that it gives you is strength, stamina, and flexibility. When you're trying some new sex positions, when you're holding a position for a while, when you're moving around on the bed, because sex positions are one of the most fun ways to have energy in your sex life. That really helps you. It's like yoga for you. It's just a little more exercise in your day, a little more movement, a little more, just flexibility of your joint systems and things like that, which are very, very important for you. So those are just some of the things that are why you want to have sex. And I would say the number one thing is the mood. It's mood. It will put you in a better mood, and it'll sure put your husband in a better mood. And when your husband's not cranky, you feel better. So you get that as well. So You're not doing it for him. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your sanity. That's why you have to fight for it, because it's like you worry about all this time about what exercise you're getting, what food you're eating. Maybe you're thinking about your sleep, but you're doing one of the things that can actually give you singularly more benefits than almost anything other than eating whole foods, getting exercise, and going to bed at a decent time. And you're like, well, how am I supposed to have sex and go to bed at a decent time? That is the hard part. I understand that. So one of the things I'm going to talk to you about when I get to the, okay, how should you have sex going forward, is I'm going to give you some ideas about that. So that's the first part.
I wanted to touch on the things that you shared because it is truly amazing how much better sex is when you actually, as a female, become a little more selfish about your experience. Because men, they really just take so much pleasure in pleasuring you. And the more you own that, oh, this is my time to be selfish, to consider what feels good to me, that helps them too. They enjoy it even more rather than you just laying back thinking, oh, okay, it's that time of the week. It's another chore that I have to do. Let's just open my legs and get this over with. It probably actually takes them longer because they know you're not into it. And then you actually enjoying it and wanting to do it and wanting them and telling them, oh, I like this, try this, go here, that's beneficial to everyone. And my husband and I joke around because, we read all these things like, oh, this is the benefit of sex. And you shared a lot. And we joke that whenever one of us is kind of teetering on the verge of getting sick, we're like, oh, we need some of that sexual healing to kick these germs. And there's some truth to it, right? But it's just so funny that we say that because it really does help. I think I read that it helps you clear your sinuses too. It's like, what? That's so wild. So yeah, I love that you said, moms, we get it. Like, we love to multitask. This is yet another thing that you can multitask because not only are you going to help yourself have a good time once you learn from Susan, but you're also going to help your health. Your skin is going to glow more. You're going to have more energy. And also you're connecting with your husband because your husband feels most connected to you when you are physically one. Whereas we are more connected when we are emotionally one. And guess what? When he feels like he's connected with you, he feels more open to be emotionally open to you. And when you're getting your emotional needs met, you're more open to be physically connected. So it works hand in hand. So tell us, Susan, how do we work? How do we have the best sex of our lives? What can we do to train our husbands to be the lover that we need so that we can finally enjoy sex again? Because you did at one point enjoy it, I hope.
I always wanted sex to be better than it was. When I first started having sex in my 20s, I was like, I don't know. There was this one guy who was okay at oral and, it was never that good. I never had an orgasm. And I kept thinking, it's got to be better than this. So when I met my husband, I liked having sex with him for the first couple of years. But because I wasn't having an orgasm from intercourse, I was just like, I didn't realize that was what was dragging me down, but it was. Orgasms are a learned skill. The minute someone told me how to do it, I started doing it. It's really easy. And if you go to betterlover.com, I have a whole series on orgasms from intercourse. And I have 10 techniques that will help you cross the gasm chasm, close that orgasm gap. If you're not having orgasms now from intercourse, you need to fix that. Because one thing I'll tell you is that I don't like to use the word sex without defining it. To me, what sex is kissing, full body touch, words of adoration and appreciation, creating a sensual lover space so that you can relax, making sure that the temperature is right and the lighting is good and you've got clean towels and you've got a cover over the bed so you're not going to get any lube on the bed. It's oral pleasuring, it's yoni massage, lingam massage. Lingam is the word for the man's penis and prostate and testicles, just like yoni is the word for all of the female genital system. Yoni massage, oral pleasuring, intercourse, anal sex, which can be very, very pleasurable. Anything that you want to do, using toys, etc. All of these things are sex. Sex is not intercourse. That's patriarchy. That's sex is for procreation only. So the only thing that matters is intercourse. We're going to marshal and manage your body around that's what sex is. Now, that being said, I love intercourse and I want you to learn how to have orgasms from intercourse. I want you to get to the point where pretty much the entire time that he has his penis in your vagina, you're in orgasmic sensation. And that's simply just learning how to do it, using the techniques at the links that I gave you, and practicing, being open to it, believing that it's possible, because you've been thinking that you're broken and there's not a damn thing wrong with you. You've never had intercourse in a way that you need to have orgasm, because everything we see is male focused and your body's not a man. So that's very important to know. The second thing is that in high school, when they had that banana and that condom, what they should have explained to you was that if a man's penis is like a banana, half of it sticks out and half of it goes down toward his testicles. And all of the fruit of that banana, if I peeled that banana and took that fruit out and turned it into a little teardrop shape, and I put a banana in a penis shape in your one hand, and I put a teardrop shaped fruit of a banana in your other hand, I would tell you that you have the same amount of erectile tissue as your husband. It's just wrapped around your vagina, and it starts at the tip of your clitoris. It goes into the shaft. It goes into your pubic bone. There are little arms. There are little legs. There's a sponge that people call a G-spot, but it's a long tube. There's a sponge on the bottom floor of your vagina called the perineal sponge. So literally your entire vagina is surrounded by erectile tissue. But here's the thing. Your husband, he gets nighttime erections if he's healthy. He wakes up with a morning erection. His penis is filling with blood and emptying all the time when he's healthy. And it does it in a matter of minutes. So he also has more natural testosterone than you do. And so it makes him kind of ready to go. Where for you, all of that penis amount of erectile tissue that needs to get filled with blood is all in these nooks and crannies inside your yoni, all around there. And it takes about 20 minutes for you to achieve your erection. And honestly, 20 minutes is usually when he's already had an ejaculation inside you and he's drifting off to sleep or eating a sandwich, and you didn't even get aroused yet. And so the 20-minute sex, the quickie, I don't do. One day I said to my husband, maybe we should have a quickie. And he's like, I'm not having your body, your yoni will be pissed for weeks at me if I do a quickie on you. No way, man. I'd rather go without sex than give you a quickie. I'm not giving you any quickies. He's right. That man is smart. Yeah. That's why I married him and kept him, didn't let him go. So you have to give yourself time to come to full arousal. You have to allow your partner to pleasure you, which is one of the reasons why I love yoni massages. So I want to circle back to that in a minute, but I also want to explain a couple of more things. You need that blood flow into your pelvic bowl. And some of the things that really help that are having him hold you and stroke your body and your hair and let you get out whatever emotional things you want to say as foreplay. And I don't even like the word foreplay in sex. I kind of think it's all sex. I think him holding me and letting me bitch about shit is foreplay. That's part of my foreplay. Mm-hmm. I need to let stuff go. And he just needs to listen and pet me. I need to be petted. I want my hair petted. I want my back petted. I want my shoulders petted. And then as he's holding me, I also like to be squeezed. It pushes the nervousness out of the nervous system. And he'll squeeze me. And then I'll start to calm down and get into my body. And then I will want him to kind of hold me some more. And over time, I might tear up when I'm letting something go. My mouth might begin to salivate. That means that I'm letting down. It's just like when you're breastfeeding and you can feel the milk come in and it like lets down. You do that as a first step in arousal because women are prey And men are predators in our world. And we're estrogen dominant, which is a hormone that keeps us safe from predators. And we need to be held and calmed down and get out of our head and into our body so we can let down and the blood can flow into our pelvic bowl to fill all those nooks and crannies up. It's like an English muffin. Our yoni is like an English muffin. You take it out of the refrigerator and it's like white and, cold, and you slice it, you put it in the toaster, and you have to push that muffin down twice to get it to be actually toasted. It's never going to toast the first time. And you are patient with that muffin. So you have to think about your yoni like the muffin. It needs a double push on the toaster. And then you take the butter and you cut it. And if it's in the fridge, it's hard. And you smash it between the two pieces of English muffin and it melts into the nooks and crannies. But it doesn't do that immediately. You got to wait for it. So if you can wait for a muffin to toast, you can wait for your yoni to fill up with blood. And this is a non-negotiable going forward from today. You're not allowed anymore. This is your mother talking. Your sex mommy. I'm your sex mommy. You have to wait till the nooks and crannies have the blood flowing in them. It's funny that it's called a muff. That must be a reason for it, Michelle. So that's a really important thing. And some of the husband training is number one. He just has to help you get going. But men are oriented toward, I'm supposed to push her buttons and spin her knobs. And the problem is that doesn't work because we first need relaxation. The way our arousal pattern works is different than men. Men aren't prey. They're ready to go. They're single-minded. You know how you can't tell your husband something while he's doing something? He can only think of one thing, right? You're doing a million things. So he's like goal-oriented.
Laser focused.
And so when guys say to me, what's the number one sex technique? I'm like, slow down, right? Turn around and come back and get us. You said this, Michelle. The heavy lifting your man needs to do is he needs to help you get turned on. You're a responsive desire format. He's a spontaneous desire format human. And so he's ready to go. So he has to help you. And so when he's holding you and then you're letting down, you've got the stuff off your chest and the blood's starting to flow, then he can start giving you little kisses on your cheek, little kisses on your eyelids, little kisses on your lip. Not stick his tongue in your mouth yet. You're not ready for that. And then a little bit of breast play, brushing the nipples, because your mouth, your nipples, and the sphincter muscle that is your vaginal opening are on the same system. And so the door to the portal, the yoni is the portal, the key to the portal is your lips and your nipples start opening that door. So if you don't like your boobs, get over it. Let that shit go. Your boobs are the source of your pleasure. Play with them. Enjoy them. They are perfect. I remember I was like 45, 46, and I rode my bike at Burning Man on the playa at the Critical Tits bike ride. 5,000 women riding topless. And boy, I did not want to do it. I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure. My boobs are ugly. I can't. My girlfriend is like, bitch, you're going. So I was like, okay, I'll go if you're making me. She's like, I'm making you. Take off your top and get on your bike. Let's go. I took off my top. I got on my bike. I rode and I looked at 10,000 boobs and thought, oh my God, every one of these boobs is pretty in a different way. Yes. My boobs are good. And I totally realized that boobs are wonderful and they're all great, no matter if they're little itty bitty titties or giant pendulous, monster boobs. It doesn't matter. And your husband loves them. And I want you to love them too. And I feel exactly the same way as does the rest of the universe about your vulva. It is gorgeous. I don't care whether your lips are big, your lips are little, they're all pretty. We are all pretty. And if we don't let go of our self-hatred and self-loathing, we're holding ourselves back in life. And so this is a very good practice for you. Sex is a mindfulness practice. If you start thinking, oh, does my butt look fat? Oh, can you see my cellulite? Let that go. this is your meditation. This is your Buddha moment. That is nothing. This is your time on this earth for pleasure, joy, connection, growth. Play with your boobies. And when you do that, it sends more blood into those nooks and crannies. You're melting the butter. You're getting it all ready. And this is probably the number one thing that's going to help you overcome that, feeling like you can't orgasm enough, or you struggle to orgasm, or what have you, because you will over the years become massively multi-orgasmic. There are 20 different kinds of orgasms the human body can have. I've had them all. And they are really incredible, and they're all learned skills. You right now might have one feeble pathway to orgasm, or not even have one yet. But this is just practice makes perfect, knowing what to do. The 20 kinds of orgasms are on my website. You can get there from betterlover.com. So, everybody's at a different place in their sex life. So that's why I have so many things that you can learn. And I'll give you one thing when we get to okay, what's my action step that'll help you a lot. But there are a couple more things that I want to say. And one of them that I want to share is my non-negotiables. My non-negotiables for sex are, number one, I will wait until I'm turned on, and I will go from a dead stop, cranky, exhausted, bitchy, etc., to wildly turned on within a matter of 20 minutes to 45 minutes, pretty much consistently every time. And the one thing that I have to do when I start getting impatient with myself is think to myself, girl, you're going to get there. Just wait it out. He's not in a hurry. He knows he's with you. This is his job. He is heavy lifting man. And the heavy lifting is getting me turned on, because we both want it. We call ourselves Team Sweetie. We did this when we very first got married. We called ourselves Team Sweetie. And we feel like in our sexuality, it's just so normal that he could be ready to go at any time, and that it just takes me time. And look, I have a lot of sex, and I'm completely sexually open, and I understand that this is just how the female body works. It's not me. It's all of us. I am not unique. And here I am, a sexpert, totally sex positive, love sex with my husband, and he still just has to do the heavy lifting. That's what it is. Just like he kills the bugs and the rats, and he takes out the trash, he does the heavy lifting. This is what I tell men. Look, she's not rejecting you for sex. Get out of your victimhood mindset. Get out of the anger. You offered her intercourse, and she hasn't even sat down yet. You know what I mean? Like, no, you offer her a foot rub. Do you want me to hold you? Would you like a glass of Chardonnay and tell me about your day? Do you want me to go in and set up? And always go in and set up the bedroom. Always get everything ready. Always put the fascinator on the bed. Always get the heat to her liking. This is your job, to grease our skids, because we got sticky skids. And that's the Homo sapien. That's not anything other than how the female body works versus the male body. So once you get over thinking there's something wrong with you, and you're like, oh shit, we're all like that, except for like those unusual circumstances, hot guy, 20-year-old, you're just meeting a guy, that's, you got all turned on in advance anyway. That's different. But this is long-term monogamous relationship sex. This is what it looks like. So I think those are the most important things to understand, are that your arousal ladder looks like that, and so does everyone else's. And when you teach your husband that, and you realize it and he realizes, it changes everything.
It really does, honestly, because when I put myself up against that expectation that I should be ready to go just like him, that was probably the worst sex we've had, because there's like none of it, or like super infrequent. But once I learned more about how we are so overly stimulated mentally all the time, and just because it's nighttime and we're physically tired doesn't mean it shuts off, right?
Yeah.
So talking it out, being able to empty yourself, and also just setting yourself up for success. If success is, I have a sex date with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
It starts way earlier. You
Mm-hmm.
have to not overload your day. You have to have the capacity to be able to do that. And how do you
Mm-hmm.
do that? You let him in.
Mm-hmm.
His end goal is also to have sex with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I joke that my husband and I trade sex for chores.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the days that we have sex, he's like, okay, I'll get the kids ready for bed.
Yeah.
You go get ready for bed so that you can do it, as slow as you want, and you can
Yep.
sit in bed and do
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want. And then
Mm-hmm.
you'll be ready when
Yeah.
I'm ready. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
wonderful, because I don't want to get ready for bed after doing all that and then
Mm-hmm.
be like, okay, here we
Now I have
go.
to wash my face and
Like,
brush my teeth. Exactly.
right.
Yeah,
I
you want to
want to
just
be able
drift
to have
off and have him
time.
tuck you in.
Yeah, I want to be able to, whether it's look at my phone or watch a show that I want or read before I
Yeah.
give myself to him. Like,
Yeah.
I need time to myself. I've been waiting all day to have time to myself because of kids and responsibilities. I'm not just going to be ready for you. Like, that's not going to be fun for me. And
Yeah.
so the more we learn about what we need to be ready is like life changing.
I have two more non-negotiables for you, and then I'm done with
Yeah,
that
share,
part.
please.
So the first one was, don't rush yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with you. This is what it takes. We all work this way. The second one is, if I am having intercourse with my husband or anything, oral or anything, and I'm done, I'm done. A lot of times it'll be, I need to take a rest and see if I'm done. And I'll let you know. But I need to take a break. And he's fine with that. Like, he can masturbate. That's the third one. I don't owe my husband an ejaculation. Now, I love his ejaculate because of the 20 things that are in his semen that are good for me. I really want it all. I want that. It's healthy for me. It's spermidine, spermine, putrescine, luteinizing hormone for your periods. It's serotonin. It's zinc for your cognitive function. It's testosterone for your libido. I mean, there's so many good things in semen. So I want it, but I don't push myself. If I feel like, I stop. And I think those are very, very, very important things, because every time you have mercy sex, every time you keep going just so he can come, you're putting another brick in the wall of your future sexless marriage. When he learns, and this is the husband training stuff, it's, you got to hold me, you got to let me get there, you got to do the heavy lifting, you got to help me with it. He's perfectly happy to do that. He just wants to know what to do, and he wants to know he did a good job. The most important thing in husband training is, what a man wants are two things. He wants your respect, and he wants to know he did a good job. He wants to win. Men live in a pecking order. If they're not up, they're down. And your job as his wife is to help him be up, to help him be a winner. Behind every good man is a good woman. That is true. Also, behind every good woman is a good man. This is what we do for each other. And so that is very important. But never do anything. If you're in the moment and you're like, oof, no, stop. Take a pause. What would feel better? And this is another component of having good sex. And now it's kind of getting into the, okay, so what do we do? And one of the things that I think is very important is to feel into your yoni. I have a sex technique. It's probably the best sex technique that I teach. It's the foundation of great sex. And it's called the Sexual Soulmate Pact, PACT, an agreement between you and your husband that you're going to be able to tell him anything you need to say. And he's going to take that not as failure, just as the feedback that's going to help him be a better lover and make you happier. And that you want him to encourage you to tell him anything and everything. I want you to download that, print it out, give him a copy, read it yourself, and then the next date night, have a discussion about starting this practice together in the bedroom. Because the part that you're going to be working on is listening to your yoni. My friend Deborah Kagan is a Sexpert as well, and she showed me a picture of the larynx and the vulva and said, look how similar they look. the voice box and the vaginal canal. And she said, I like to tell people that you have two sets of lips, one down below and one above, but only one of them can actually do the actual speaking. So you have to speak for your yoni with the lips on your mouth. Your yoni is always talking to you. If you can't hear her, it's because you haven't tuned into her. She's chattering away constantly. When you begin to tune into her and use what's called interoception, which is one of the senses of your body, which is what's going on in your body. I have to fart. Ooh, I hurt I have a hangnail, whatever. I did too much microdermabrasion, whatever it is. When you start to be able to listen to her and speak on her behalf, and when your husband's like, thank you, babe. Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, what would be better? Then you can move into the next step of your sexual confidence and sexual mastery. And that's where you begin to have this adventurous sex life where you get into the bedroom and he's like, what do you feel like doing tonight? And you're like, well, and you have all these ideas because your yoni is full of ideas and wants. She's a hungry little yoni. She's got so many ideas once you start listening to her. And when you start saying to your husband, here's what she wants. And he's like, awesome. That sounds good. Let's do that. Then every time you make love, it's a different thing. Oh, I want to do 69. Oh, I was thinking it'd be really fun if you gave me a yoni massage and we had sex where you're standing at the edge of the bed and you're holding my legs up and I've got a vibrator on my clitoris and you're telling me how hot I am or whatever, I'm just making stuff up. Some of my favorites. And that makes your sex life really exciting. And he gets trained to learn to love you telling him what you need, and you get really good at knowing it, and then it just takes off.
So good. Yeah, I mean, a lot of sex really is communication. It's knowing what you want. And until you know that, he's kind of just guessing or just focusing on what feels good to him, which, let's be real here, their satisfaction is a lot simpler than ours, right? Ours is complicated. It can be finicky. And until we know that, oh, this feels good at this time of my cycle and this does not, our body changes every single day of the month.
Every second.
Yeah.
When you started out feeling like completely numb and you couldn't feel anything and, it was like, I don't know, am I even going to be able to do this tonight? And then you end up where you had like the hottest sex you had all month in that session. You're like, how the hell does this happen? And it's like, who knows? Just give Yoni what she wants. That's what we do. And it turns out that he gets exactly what he wants by doing that. So I want to give you one more resource. I have so many resources, but I try to pick and choose wisely so I don't overwhelm you, but I give you the tools that you need. And this is my sex life bucket list. I think it is very important for couples who are on a journey of sexual maturation and mastery together to not just come up with the stuff you come up with, but to use the guidance of someone like myself who has been teaching hot sex for decades. I have 48 erotic play dates that essentially you go to sexlifebucketlist.com. You download a PDF with 48 erotic play dates on it, and it has an A, a B, and a C next to each one. There's a video that I've made that comes with it. This is free. There's a video, and it's kind of a Rosetta Stone into a lot of other things that I teach. So like, it depends on what ends up on your sex life bucket list. It's going to give you some direction for your sex life. Because scheduling sex is shitty if you think about, okay, I've got to have intercourse with my husband. But scheduling sex because you're going to find your G-spot, or you're going to try this new toy, or you're going to do a lingerie photo shoot, or whatever, that I'm willing to make some time on my schedule for. So the Sex Life Bucket List is a video where you can watch it together in bed on your phone or your laptop, and you've got your little printouts. This is like your first erotic play date is a couples workshop where I walk you through the 48 things and you each mark your own paper, A, B, or C. A is, oh, hell yeah, this is going on my sex life bucket list. I want to learn how to ejaculate. B is, hey, if my husband wants to learn how to become a multi-orgasmic lover, I want to support him in that. C is, it's not for me right now. Hey, never say never, because you got to work your way up to some of those things. But, hashtag goals. So once you two have your sex life bucket list, you merge your A's. And then you're like, okay, Thursday night, we got a babysitter. Which one of the things on our bucket list do we want to try? And then you have something to look forward to. You're planning it. You've got the tool out. You've got your lubes out. You've got your towels out. You got all this stuff. And then you show up and you're like, I don't know if that's what I really want to do tonight. I think I want to do something else. I'm just like really feeling like this is what I want. And then you're like, oh, that's cool, because we give Yoni what she wants, but at least we have the exciting thing and it's not going away. We can do it the next time or anytime, but it gives you something to think about that's exciting. You grow together. You have new relationship energy because you're trying variety and novelty. So you've got the combination of the safety and the novelty, which creates more desire. That's the formula. It's novelty and safety together that keep your sex life getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So I leave you with that as your action step, is to tell me. And I love when people email me and they're like, here's what's the tops on our bucket lists. I love to hear what different couples want to do. It really helps me. So feel free to do that as well when you've got yours figured out.
Thank you so much, Susan. You left so many resources out there for the listeners to go check out. So I'm going to include all of that into the show notes. So don't you worry. All you have to do is just go click away. And I am so grateful because I learned a lot in this. And I also felt very validated in a lot of the experiences that you shared.
Good,
and
Michelle.
I can't wait to hear what the listeners have to say about listening to this episode, because we collectively just want you to have better sex. It's meant to be enjoyed. It's not just for procreation, despite what you may have grown up learning. It's a huge part of your relationship. And so I want you to be able to have the right resources to help you change that if you don't currently enjoy that. And Susan's a perfect person to learn from. Obviously, she's super fun. And I'm really looking forward to hearing the feedback that you have for this episode. And if you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share. Yeah. Do not let this information die with you. Okay.
Yeah, do a girlfriend a solid.
Right.
Pass it
exactly.
on.
Sharing is caring. And if you love this show, please leave a rating and review on iTunes or Spotify. I would be so grateful. Yeah. And again, Susan, thank you so much. This episode was packed with stuff, and I can't wait to hear how listeners are enjoying it. Thanks for
really enjoyed being with you. Thank you so much for having me. I have loved collaborating with you. So thank you, Michelle. And the last thing I'd like to know is, what were some of your biggest aha moments in this conversation? What are you going to take home?
For me, the holding and the pressure. I didn't realize that I was having that done. And I don't do it regularly. So it's not like a part of the routine. Now I'm realizing, oh, when we do that, I'm like extra ready. So now it's got to be part of my like takeoff list, right? So, when you're going to go on an airplane and they do all their checks and stuff, like that's going to be part of my list now.
I love that. That's a good one. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yes. And I will catch you all back here on the next episode. Bye. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.